Good job, Sheila.
Thanks. Music lessons have paid off.
They have. So I'm Anna.
I'm Sheila.
And this is Cup of Joe on Riding with Vine for Hillsboro. We also stream live. So like, follow, share. Yep. But we also stream live
on Fish Hawk for Biden, Tampa Bay for Biden, and Riding with Biden, Hillsboro.
Right. So like, follow, share. This is our last broadcast, and we have a special long broadcast.
Well, last before the election.
Well, that's what I meant. Didn't finish my sentence. But yes.
We don't want our viewers to panic.
What?
We don't want our viewers to panic.
That's right. We can't panic. Can't panic? No, not yet. So after this show, we're going to have a recap on Friday because, as we all know, we might not know the final. I'm hoping we do. I'm hoping we know. Yeah. It's just such a landslide that is going to be no doubt.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that are happening. I mean, we were just talking about it before. They're building walls around the White House.
He's going into his bunk. He's going to the basement.
He's going into the basement.
Woohoo! Donnie's in the basement.
We need to come up with a dance for that, Sheila. So
the time warp.
Let's go into the
basement today.
It's just a jump down.
Jump down the stairs.
And then
oh shoot.
Anyway, so
I'm glad there wasn't a kitten here because I spilled my coffee everywhere.
Anyway, so
sorry.
We probably won't know the election results. So we're thinking by Friday
we'll know something.
We'll know a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we'll do a recap, and then we'll probably talk about what's going to happen from here on out, because we are going to continue this for more of and we have a little kitten running around here.
Yeah, so if we look distracted, that's why.
Yes. So we're going to continue this after the election and focus on local issues, ways to volunteer.
Yep. Take the ferry with Pat Kemp.
Take the ferry with Pat Kemp. Learn how to do the time warp with Mike Karate.
Yep.
Maybe Mike Beltran if we have time.
He'll come on.
Yeah.
If Let us know what he's doing in his private life.
Right. That's right. Because I want to know. So maybe, after, if we have time, Sheila, we can get Mike on today.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. So this weekend we were very, very busy. We did poll reading, which is just basically like sign waving, just a little bit more formalistic outside the polls.
Hand out slate cards to people.
Slate cards to people, as well as Biden cookies.
I have to tell you what happened yesterday.
What did you eat? What?
We didn't know. So I got a call from the poll watcher on the inside that they had a person who did a provisional ballot who was really upset, and so he texted me the guy's description. And I saw him, and he came out and he didn't have the right form of identification, so they had to make him vote provisional. Mm-hmm. So I said, listen, here's where you're going to go. His girlfriend knew exactly where it was, so he was going to go over today and get his ballot made legal. But we found out that he was from Havana, so our really good friend Kristen ran out to her car, got all of her Biden Cuban stuff that she had, and she gave them flags and stickers and posters. I mean, she loaded them up with Biden swag. So we were really happy that Kristen was there with her Cuban stuff. Shout out to Kristen.
Shout out to Kristen. She has so much stuff there.
And they were so happy.
Yeah.
They were like, I didn't know you had this. Yeah. So
what's really inspiring, Sheila, was when I was at Town and Country and people were driving in, and there were so many people that had not voted before.
Yeah.
And so they were, number one, excited about voting, and it was helpful that we were there to try to encourage them, because it might be a little intimidating. You see this white tent, these people in these green vests, and who knows, you might see cars that are
crazy caravans of crazy people.
Anyway.
Not Democrats.
Yeah, not Democrats. Anyway, so if you want to get involved, we still have some opportunities. We need poll readers for Election Day. So there is a sign up genius that our producer Aaron is trying to do right now. However, you don't have to really sign up in there. I mean, you can just show up. We prefer it if you sign up, because then we know what polls or what election locations need help. But if the time is like 7 to 11 and you have to drop the kids off at 8, you don't have to sign up. Just indicate the times that you can come.
Right. So if you can come 9 to 11. Do that,
or we come for an hour.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of fun, and you meet some interesting people. And we've met so many candidates that way.
Yeah, yesterday we had a girl who was just turned 18, voted for the first time for Biden, and came out and waved flags and handed out slate cards for an hour while she was waiting for her mom to pick her up.
And we had Joe there too. Right?
We had Joe. Lots of people. A couple of Republicans took their picture with Joe yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
We should talk to Eve about that. He's on the show.
Mike Paraty's campaign person did.
Rita?
Yeah.
Oh, love Rita.
Because her daughters were campaigning with us.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was
All
great.
inclusive.
And there's vote curing, which
Yeah, so Aaron and I did that yesterday.
ballot curing, sorry.
Ballot curing. So you get a list of people who they don't tell you why. It could be as simple as like my name on my driver's license. It has my middle name on it,
Right.
And I don't normally sign that way. So I always make sure to sign with my middle name to match the driver's license. And we went to a couple of houses. And we were trying to explain that could be the reason. We don't know. And when we said that, like, oh yeah, I didn't sign with my middle initial or my middle name. And so we're able to do it right there on the spot. We hit about Aaron, about a dozen folks or so yesterday. And we get to see some areas of the
County.
Well, we were in Polk County, so we're not Hillsborough County, that
Oh,
I've never
fun.
really seen before. And it was really interesting. We had a good time, and people would just let us in.
Strange women come to your door and
Of course. So I felt like it was very impactful as well. People were so happy to be there. I mean, so happy that we came.
oh yeah.
And they really wanted their vote to be counted. So it's simple. You can hang out. Just send us an email at cupofjoefh@gmail.com or reply to this thread, and we'll be happy to include you in our happy little caravan. We're all socially distant. We have masks. We have
Gloves, hand sanitizer.
Yeah,
I bring water,
yes,
snack bars.
Yeah.
We might have pie.
And then we might have pie. And then I introduced Erin to zucchini fries the other day.
Oh, you've never had them? Oh, she's from Minnesota. I don't think they grow zucchini in
I
Minnesota.
don't know what they grow in Minnesota. Can you grow anything in Minnesota?
Cows.
Yep. I see. Okay. Oh, and maybe cheese? That's kind of
That's Wisconsin.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God. Well, the cows give the milk to Wisconsin because Wisconsin makes the cheese.
I see.
So it is Wisconsin.
Overflow of milk and cows. Is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
they are.
Okay. All right.
So we have 3 guests today.
Well, hopefully maybe 4 if Mike Beltran will show up, or if we have time for Mel.
I think he's never mind.
Well, I mean, okay. So excitingly, we have someone.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to talk to her.
That people are like, wait, who? Are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, yes. So as most of our viewers know, we are in a little area in Lithia, Florida, which is very red, but there's a lot of military.
Yep, we're close to MacDill.
We're not really close to MacDill, but we have a transportation system, which we talked about on Friday, that benefits a certain portion of the population, which I think it should benefit everyone.
Oh yeah,
I really do. Anyway, I digress once again.
But we are close to MacDill, so we get a lot of military.
We have a bus, not a ferry yet, that goes from our area to MacDill, and we have a lot of military here.
Yep.
So we have a lot of power.
We do.
Area, right? And we have very powerful women as well.
Yes.
We have powerful networks, and we have the organizational ability and the volunteer empathy gene to try to make a change. So right here is, I would say, the corpus of power.
Yes. And our guest, I'm married to somebody who worked for the federal government, and as a federal employee, you could never talk about politics. And her husband made a courageous decision one day to have a conversation with the House Intelligence Committee.
I thought it was the second, but she can probably tell us.
Yep. To talk about what he had heard.
To tell the truth.
Tell the truth. And we're going to talk to Rachel Vindman. As a military spouse, it's hard because even as a federal employee spouse, you can't be politically active because of the position.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's hard. And especially if your husband is high up in the food chain, to be vocal. So we're happy that Rachel's here.
So let's introduce Rachel Vindman. Hi, how are you? Thank you for being on.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So tell us a little bit about some people who don't know who you are and don't know, maybe they've heard little tidbits, but maybe you could just give us a little summary of your husband and what happened to him and why you've been so vocal lately.
Sure. Well, first up, I want to apologize for this little bit of a hostage video. I got my third choice location in the house. I say doing live things in my house is like trying to juggle fire. So it's a little bit of a challenge. But so I am Rachel Vindman. My husband is Lieutenant Colonel retired Alexander Vindman. And he last year, it was actually last Thursday, was the year anniversary of his testifying in the closed door session to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He testified pursuant to a subpoena and testified as to what he heard on the July 25th phone call between President Trump and President Zelensky of Ukraine.
Mhm.
Alex was then later called 3 weeks later, exactly 3 weeks, to testify in a public hearing. And again, same context. I'm sorry for that. But he, yeah, so that's who he is. Later, he was then fired in February from the National Security Council the day after the president was acquitted by the Senate. Well, the Senate decided not to call witnesses and acquitted the president. So he was acquitted. And then in July, my husband made the decision based on numerous data points that it was better for him to retire his commission and retire from active
So
duty.
he had been with the military for most of his adult life, correct? And he is won multiple dignified awards and
Yeah,
things of that,
medals,
right? I mean,
honors, yeah.
right? And so
Mhm.
how has this experience, I mean, first of all, do you feel it was retaliation?
Do I feel so I have been very vocal speaking out lately because I think there are many people who can't be vocal, as you've said. There are people who don't have that option. There
Right.
are also people, really like the thing that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me was there was a journalist whose family was threatened and they had to move from their homes after the journalist wrote a story, move from their home for safety. And and he was unwilling to tell the story about how his family was attacked, how he was attacked, his family was attacked. And I was like, I'm done. This is ridiculous. This is not the United States of America.
Right.
He didn't want to become part of the story and tell the story, but it's a story that needs to be told of the death threats that anyone gets when they say something the president wants to hear. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that it's not true. They just don't want it said. So that's when I was like, okay, fine, gloves are off. We had been offered before, but we never, had done anything because, as a career military officer, it was not a comfortable place for my husband. And it's still not. But I really think things need to be said. So do I think the firing from the NSC, from the White House, from the National Security Council was definitely retaliation. It was stupid retaliation, and it shows just the depravity of these people because Alex had made it known they were monitoring his email, they were monitoring him, they were spying on him while he worked. So they knew that he was going to leave the NSC in just a couple of weeks. He was going to go quietly back to the Pentagon or DOD or whatever, and never to be heard from again. But that wasn't good enough for them. They wanted the spectacle of firing him. Like, no, I broke up with you. You didn't break up with me. And it was just,
Right. So when you say they, Rachel, do you mean the Republicans, or I mean, is
The White House staff?
White House staff? Because I gotta believe. I mean, we had some Republicans on here, and there are good Republicans. I truly believe there are good Republicans that want to do the right thing. But what is your feeling when you say they? Who should we be concerned about? Who should the American people be concerned about?
So the speculation was that it was Jared Kushner who ordered it, who orchestrated the idea for Alex and his twin brother to be fired on the same day. Again, for the spectacle of it, for the warning of it, of if you cross us, we will get back at you. We will come after you. And, let me just say, because this hasn't been widely reported, if there are any military, when and I think there's military spouses would probably understand this. It's very difficult to explain the issues of the promotion of Alex's promotion to full colonel. He was selected for War College, which is about a 99% chance of being then selected to the next rank. And we knew he was selected. They told us a long time ago that he had been selected for that. But the list to officially come out, and actually we knew that he had been selected by a board of superior officers to make the next rank. But that list has to be approved. It's perfunctory for that rank, for it to only be, pretty perfunctory, go to the White House, to go to the Senate, and everyone signs off on it. But the White House made it known as soon as the list came to the military office of the NSC, it was to go directly to the president's front office. Highly unusual, highly, highly unusual. They were looking for Alex's name. And in fact, Alex was under investigation, unbeknownst to him. I was notified of this, sort of the morning that he was going to announce his retirement. I got a text from a New York Times reporter who said, "Were you aware that yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon, Mark Meadows, the president's chief of staff, called in Secretary Esper and Secretary McCarthy, who is Secretary of the Army, and told them they needed to find a reason for them to not promote your husband?" And, the feeling that it's like this, rush of adrenaline where you kind of start shaking. And I'd had that feeling so many times. And it was just such a relief when he retired. So I think that they kind of forced it. We still don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it was a big risk if he stayed in the military that, he would be at their beck and call, and he would, who knows what would have happened.
Oh, terrible. I can't believe this is happening.
Well,
and so go ahead.
When I think of the military, Rachel, I think of someone like your husband, who is so honorable and so committed. And having lived right outside of Fort Belvoir, where there were a lot of military families, that's what I saw all the time. That commitment to country first. And to see what happened to your husband disgusted me and then made me sad.
So the other thing I just want to bring up is for those of us who aren't military and those of us who are maybe in the finance industry, there is something called whistleblower laws.
Yeah.
Right. And the SEC and Fortune 500 companies and people that report it are protected. So it is ludicrous to me that this is basically whistleblower in some respects, right? It's just telling the truth. And it is protected under federal law for Fortune 500 organizations. Anyway, there's so much that we can talk about. So, but really, what I really want to understand, because we're a day away from the election, we have a lot of people, mainly Republicans, who haven't voted yet. What would you say to any undecided Republicans or Democrats, for that matter, as they make, especially in Florida, especially in these swing states?
Joe.
I understand that Joe Biden might not be the candidate that you want. This is our system, though, and we have two choices. It's a binary choice. We can vote for decency. We can vote for integrity, leaders with integrity, a leader with integrity to lead us. Or we can vote for someone who has proven that there is nothing he will not do, no lie he will not say in order to advance himself. And be very, very clear. It is solely about advancing himself. Any decision that he makes is only about Donald Trump. It is not because he wants to protect children. It is not because he wants to protect jobs or people, or I can't even think of all the things that he does. He does everything for the singular purpose of advancing himself, his interests, and making money. And I think we've seen he's also doing it to protect himself, because he knows if he loses tomorrow, there is a legal reckoning that he is going to have to deal with.
Absolutely. And I know there's a lot of people that were not, in terms of the primaries, that were not Joe Biden people. But as I have done the research and I have worked with the campaign and I've researched Kamala and I've researched everything and I've spoken with or been in the same area as Jill Biden. I mean, this man is very, very moderate, and he has the ability and the relationships to bring this country together, right? I mean, progressives are, I mean, I think that's going to be the wave of the future, maybe in our children's lifetime, but I think he is the candidate to bring both sides of the table together because he has the relationships. He's Lindsey Graham's friend. Don't ask me how that works, but he is, you know, he's Bill Nelson's friend. They can work together, and by showing the unity, we can start to build this country back because we desperately need it. This is abhorrent to me, abhorrent, and I'm so sorry. And I appreciate everything that your husband has done for us in our country, and I'm just horribly sorry that this happened to you and your family. However, I applaud you for having the courage and the bravery to come out and say these things because they need to be said. We have to do the right thing here. We have to get people out to vote. We have to vote for unity over division.
I completely agree. Thank you.
Rachel, thank you so much. Ann and I both have a crush on you. We're like, we just think she's the best thing since sliced bread. So the fact that you're on our show today, we were like, neither one of us could sleep last night. We were so excited.
We were very, very excited. And
and so our producer couldn't sleep either. Erin, she was just like, what are we going to do? She's on. Yay. So thank you. We'll be watching on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We would love for you to come back on the show. We have such a strong military wife viewership. Well, of all our viewers, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of military wives around here. We all kind of come around. I'm not military, but they're a very strong community. So we would love to have you back on because we're always trying to get together, volunteer, do the right thing, make change, help our husbands, make this world a better place.
Yep.
Well, I would be honored, and I think I might be doing more in the military spouse space in the future. So I would love to. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Oh my God.
I'm shaking now.
I know.
I forgot to ask her about the Lincoln. Okay, well.
We had so many questions.
We did have so many questions. And now are we waiting for our two other guests, Erin? Okay.
So we have two other guests in the wings. We're waiting on them.
This is a big, long show.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask her about the Lincoln Group. I forgot to ask her. Oh, well.
I know we had questions and it was like, whatever.
No.
I was starstruck.
I know. But I mean, thank you so much to her to come out and talk to us and for everything her husband has done for this country. And I think his name's going to be written down in history books as
it should be.
As it should be, as someone who stood up and against everything, against him. Oh, you know what? Jared Kushner went to Harvard. Did you know that? You know who else went to Harvard?
Mike Beltran. Did he go on the Pity Scholarship?
I don't know. We'll have to have him on. I'd love to hear his take on this.
Harvard with 2 R's?
Well,
was he in the Legally Blonde movie?
Oh my goodness! But I would love to hear his take for real. I wonder what he thinks about Harold Kushner. Harold Kushner. I think he wrote The Purple Crayon. Oh no!
No, that was somebody else. We divest. We're divesting.
Divesting of Harold and the Purple Crayon.
That was my favorite book as a kid.
Was it?
It was. I loved it.
I liked Really Good Stuff.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
About the troll.
She liked Paul Bunyan.
Did she?
Minnesota.
Oh. Okay, so we're waiting for the Lincoln Group or Republican voters.
So one of the things that Vindman did, Lieutenant Colonel, when he knew that the list was being held up for promotions, I think there were 15 of them on the list. He said, I want to withdraw my name from the promotion because the other 14 people on this list won't get their promotion if I'm on the list. And he said, they are so deserving of their promotion. I don't want them to be impacted by what I did. And so he withdrew his name.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah.
It's like this is like a different country I'm hearing about.
Yeah. I feel like I'm living in, I don't know, Eastern Europe before it was, when it was communism.
It's terrible. But at least she had the strength and the courage.
Yeah.
Beyond the show, our show. It's here
in
Florida. I'm on
socks.
Yoga.
Socks.
Yoga, Sheila, goes too short.
Are you cold?
I have to move all my clothes from one drawer to the other. It's like movement. I used to be in New York when we'd have changing
Change the closets.
It's changing of the drawers, and now I have all my athletic, little things that are outlawed apparently at Newsom High School now. I guess it's athletic shorts. Girls can't wear them.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Because oh my God, the boys might be,
Well, I went out. Of course, when they said that, I went out and bought the shorts I could get, and went to go pick up my daughter. She loved that. But anyway,
I bet you she did. Hi,
she
buddy.
did. So we're waiting for Margaret Good and for Eve, but I don't know if Eve's going to be on because he's doing a lot of Republican things. But anyway, in terms of volunteering, we started, and I think we might have gotten distracted. Sheila,
we did.
Is that
Over pies.
So for poll greeting, you can number one just show up at any early site.
Yep.
You'll see the Democrats hopefully.
Or actually, we're telling people to go to the Bloomingdale Library. If you don't know where to go to Bloomingdale Library, and they will send you to where they need the most help, which is perfect.
Yes. So, and you'll meet some like-minded people.
Somebody will bring food.
Right. They bring food, and you'll meet a lot. I've met a lot of first-time voters, and it's so inspiring.
So great.
And they really want your help, right? And we're a little intimidating, but not so much. But we're very friendly and welcoming to everyone.
And it's going to be just the high Democratic turnout polls, so it won't be as divisive as you and I have experienced at our polling place.
It's not really fun, though, Sheila.
It is, because a lot of them are first-time voters.
Well, no, I think going to the ones that are big Trumpers. Ooh, maybe we could dress up and go as Trumpers.
I think we should just go as ourselves.
I think we should. I think we should go as Trumpers and then just say, "Go Biden" in the middle of it and just see what happens.
We should.
I'd do it.
I think that'd be great. So the other thing you can do is cure ballots.
And it's not that they have diseases. We've already talked about this.
No antibiotics are involved.
No.
But what you're going to do is make sure that their ballots count. In Hillsborough, there were 800, and I think they're down to 300 ballots that need to be cured. So people have been working on those.
I don't feel like I've done 200 ballots, Sheila. I feel like I've done like
12.
Oh, you know what's very important is, Sheila.
What?
I'll give you a question. How many votes were that's divided it? That's the word of the day. We should start having word of the days, by the way.
Unprecedented.
No, I don't like that word.
I don't either.
In 2000, I think it was in two, or I don't know. How many votes?
Oh, in 2000, the Gore-Bush race.
Well, I haven't even finished my question.
I know.
So how many votes were the difference between Gore and Bush?
527.
37.
537.
537. And then if you divide that over the districts in Florida, how much is that?
2.
2. So if you say your vote doesn't matter, it does.
2 people.
If we had 2 people per election district in Florida that had voted differently, we would have had different outcomes. So,
yep.
Moral of that story is your vote matters.
It does. And if you've already voted like us, call your friends, call your neighbors, make sure they have a plan, make sure they vote. And if for some reason they're going tomorrow, have them bring snacks, water, a chair. Yeah, no, for themselves, because they're going to need to be sitting there for a long time. Bring an umbrella in case it rains.
I'll be poll watching down at South Shore Methodist Church, I think.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I'll be watching. It's going to be really hard because you can't talk to anybody.
Oh, you'll be screwed.
I know. Oh.
Our cat needs to come out. Aaron won't get him. All right, Aaron's going to go get our baby kitten.
So yeah, I'll be at South Shore Methodist Church, and I'll be the Democrat poll watcher, which means I can sit there and just make sure everything is on the up and up, and I can't talk. So if you see me, you can just kind of wave, but I can't talk, which is I don't know what I'm going to be doing.
So after election, we've got some things that we might be doing. We might be taking a ferry ride with Pat Kemp and Mike Perotti.
I thought we were going to do the time warp on the ferry with Mike Perotti.
We are.
Okay.
And Pat Kemp can just sing for us.
Okay.
Yes. So we're going to do a couple programs afterwards. We're going to highlight what it's like to volunteer, what you can do to get ready, because we have a race for governor and senator in 2 years. And for those of you who are infatuated with our current governor, Dr. Death, or
Satan.
Yeah, Dr. Satan, or with little Marco, we're going to get rid of them in 2 years. So we're going to need everybody's help to start working on campaigns. I know it's not even this one's over, but just think about what you want to do. Just think about it.
There was a lot of opportunities to get involved, and that's when I first started doing things with the Gillum campaign.
Yep.
And I met a lot of great people, and I learned how to do minivan. And so it helped me really prepare for this election. And I had some of the connections. I didn't know Merle yet, but it's a good sort of like training ground for the next presidential election.
Yep.
Not that it's going to be as tough as this one, right? But
I hope not.
also the way to really impact some, as not an argument, it's the truth, I guess, a position is local government.
Yep.
Local government, local state government, especially with this pro-corporate states' rights court that we have right now. Our state government is going to be more imperative and influential than ever before, I believe. And maybe Margaret can help us understand why that is. If we can get her, Erin's playing with the cat now.
Yeah, Margaret's on, but Erin's playing with her cat.
Erin's playing with the cat.
But the other, there she is.
Hi.
You can hear us. Hi, Margaret. How are you?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Look what we've had on our show from day one. Dun, dun, dun. Margaret,
Thank
good.
you. That's
You're gonna have to turn up
awesome.
your mic just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I don't know. Did that change anything?
A little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Margaret, we are so excited to have you on. I got a text from the person you're challenging yesterday.
What? He texts you?
Yeah, I'm on his little text bank because
Why?
because I need to know what he does.
I see.
And his big thing was we're gonna keep daylight savings time.
Oh, that's very
Super
important,
important.
Sheila.
Meanwhile, people in Florida are going to food banks. They're losing their apartments, but we're going to keep daylight savings time.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to be different than New York because that works.
Yeah.
The
So-
financial markets, we don't need to be worried about them, right?
Yeah.
It's just the Florida markets. Maybe that's the first step.
It's the orange market.
The orange market. So, Margaret, with that information, tell us.
I want a kitty.
Oh, tell us how you compare yourself to your competitor or
Your challenge. Who's the person
challenger.
you're challenging? We won't mention the name.
We don't like to mention names.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me on. I love your set. I love y'all's conversation. You know, I decided to run for the 16th district because I really believe that it was time for a change. I have seen my opponent in office for the last 14 years. People love term limits. He has been there way too long. And I looked at the things that I thought were important and they weren't getting done. You know, I'm the state representative for Sarasota County and have worked really hard on water quality issues, on stormwater and wastewater infrastructure, holding corporate polluters accountable, making sure we have common sense regulations. That is not something that we have seen at the federal level at all. Our current representative does not advocate for common sense regulations, is not working on water quality issues in the way that I think that they need to be worked on, and then COVID hit, this is, I sort of went in thinking, oh, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff on water quality. And I started working with people in my legislative office to help them navigate the broken unemployment system. I started talking to people and realizing how much lack of transparency there was around COVID and testing and what is happening with our public health. And I saw our current representative who is doing things like talking about daylight savings time. And I think that we need somebody that's going to actually tackle the issues that are affecting us. And so I am excited about the work that we have done in this campaign. Tomorrow is election day. I'm on my way out the door to go canvass right now. But I think that the voters of this district are ready for a change. Certainly, this is the time for people to stand up and make their voices heard. And you can see that by the record turnout that we are having in Florida and across the country, that people are really engaged in this election, which makes me really happy.
Yeah. So, you are in a very, I would say, mostly affluential district, right? So when you say unemployment, what's the main difference between your approach and he who should not be named approach with the unemployment issues and problems that we have in terms of, applying for state government relief or in unemployment overall? What is the main difference between the two of you on that issue?
Yeah, I had so many people coming to my legislative office asking for help that had gone to other legislative offices, that had gone to other congressional offices, and they needed just help navigating the unemployment system, because there were, I mean, at the height of it, 1 million or more Floridians that were unemployed. And a lot of these people were unemployed for the very first time in their lives through no fault of their own. They were experiencing financial insecurity like they had never experienced before. And they thought, well, I've been paying into this unemployment system for decades. It's time for, I need it now. I'm going to get it back pursuant to state and federal law. And the Florida unemployment system was so difficult to navigate that many people waited weeks and months. And, I'm really proud of the work that my legislative office did to help people navigate that. But just that understanding that there are still people who are unemployed in this district. There are still small businesses that are really struggling in this district. And, of course, my opponent, the 7-term incumbent, took $7 million of PPP government money and then for himself. And then when it was time to extend unemployment benefits to make sure that the workers and the small businesses in this district got the relief they needed, he turned his back. He voted against them. And I think we deserve better leadership.
Definitely.
I did not realize he got the PPPs.
Yep.
He cut in line. He got it. He was one of the first people to get it. And meanwhile, I'm talking to small business owners in my district, and they are waiting. They're worrying. They're struggling. I don't know how much y'all were involved in this, but people were changing banks so that they could, work the system so that they could get this PPP benefit. And meanwhile, my opponent cuts in line, gets it first, and then when it comes time to extend these benefits, he votes against it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I'm not familiar with PPE as much as I am with
PPP,
the
payroll protection
Well, I
plan.
know
Yeah.
what it is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is on the payroll tax credit, what I found when the regulations came out, which the Treasury regulations actually interpret the law, the regulations that came out make it so difficult because that was not what was intended.
Yep.
It totally was not what was intended. And what we had to document and what we had to prove to get the payroll tax credit was, I don't know who could do it really, unless you totally shut down, right? So those companies that are struggling, they have to weigh the benefit of bringing the employees back or this credit. And that's not what was intended. The intended was to keep people working, right? But have this credit to help some cash flow. And that's not what the Treasury, and guess who runs the Treasury? Guess who runs the Treasury? Yeah.
Yeah, Munchkin.
Yeah. And where did Vern go to school? Did he go to Harvard? We'll have to ask him about
Harvard.
Harvard. Anyway, so what would you say, Margaret, to some people who are, we're going to have a lot of Republicans, and we do like some Republicans,
Yep.
don't get me wrong. Most of them are going to come out tomorrow and vote, right?
Yeah.
We do think that they're going to show up at the polls in a higher majority than the Democrats. So what would you say to some of these voters that are heading to the polls tomorrow who haven't decided between who should not be named and Margaret Good?
I think that when I think about the work that I do, both as a candidate and as an elected representative, I don't really think about being a Democrat. I don't think about my constituents being Democrats or Republicans or non-party affiliated voters.
Mm-hmm.
I think about the needs of the people of this district, the issues that we are presented with, and then I try to find solutions to them. And I think that that's really, that if we had more people like that in government, we would have a much more higher functioning government. And,
Right.
I hope that when people go to the polls tomorrow, that they are thinking about, what kind of government do we want in our future? And I'm hoping that they want the kind of government that actually works. That they want to elect people that are just going to do the work to help the people that they serve. Because I think that's the bottom line of good governance is let's look at the issues, let's listen to our constituents, and then let's try to figure out solutions.
Right.
And, I had a really remarkable experience in Manatee County. When I was as a state representative, I cared I care a lot about a lot of issues, but one of the things that we had the opportunity to do in Florida was to be the 35th state to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. And I care a lot about equality. I care a lot about equal rights. And so I added my name as a co-sponsor to this legislation. And then I came back to our community and thought, you know, I'm going to get these local governments I'm going to ask them to pass ordinances, pass resolutions in support of the Equal Rights Amendment. And I had some really good success in the city of Sarasota. They passed one, Holmes Beach passed one. Even I went down to Venice. The city of Venice passed a resolution. Northport passed a resolution. Sarasota County did not even consider it. They wouldn't even put it on their agenda. But then I went to Manatee County, which is part of the 16th district, just south of y'all. And it is one of the most Republican areas in this congressional district. And I went in front of the county commission. It's 7 commissioners, 6 of them are Republicans, 5 of those 6 are women. And I gave my pitch about the Equal Rights Amendment. I talked about how important it was to enshrine equal rights for women in the Constitution. And then I stood up at the podium and I listened as woman commissioner, all Republicans, after woman commissioner told me their stories about feeling like they've been discriminated against, getting paid less than their male counterparts, getting passed over for promotions. And then they called the question and they passed a resolution in support of the Equal Rights Amendment. And
Wow.
it was, I know, it was really in that moment that I was reminded again that so many of these values that I often think of as big D democratic values are not actually that. They are really American values that
Right.
no matter your party affiliation, you care about. And I really hope that people are going to the polls with that kind of attitude.
I hope so.
I hope so,
The
too.
reason I'm bringing it up is it's just so divisive, right? And it's made a point. The media has actually pointed out, I mean, to that extent. So I appreciate that. And we do have a lot more in common than we do differences. I
Yeah.
truly, truly believe that. We all want to have a safe place to live and to work and to have a good education system and to have, you know, equal rights. I believe we all want that.
Yeah.
And so we can focus on what we want and how we're similar and how we're Americans and how, you know, the things that are important to us and listen to the issues versus the color, meaning red or blue, then maybe we can, you know, move forward from this
That'd be nice.
past 4
Yeah.
years of turmoil.
Agree. And I also want to, before I get off, I want to make a quick pitch because today is the day before Election Day. Tomorrow is Election Day. After 7 p.m. tomorrow, no one else will be able to vote. It will be all over. If anyone out there is watching has a little bit of extra time today or tomorrow, we are still working really hard at making sure that every single person in the 16th district, which is Southern Hillsborough, Manatee, and Northern Sarasota counties, that they show up to vote. And we are phone banking, we are canvassing, we are text banking and sending text messages. And if you want to volunteer with the campaign, this is your very last chance, and we would love to have you.
We'll put your link on here.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yes, we're also doing poll greeting on our side, and
Yes.
we're doing ballot curing, which it takes a lot of time, but I feel like it really makes a difference
Yep.
to get out there and make sure
Agreed.
people's vote who's already been submitted, and sometimes they don't realize it hasn't been counted. Just that extra step to make sure that all these votes count. Everyone's vote counts, especially here in Florida.
And Margaret, when you are sworn in, Anna and I hopefully will be up in DC. And it's like, really, we're going?
Yeah.
Hopefully we can come by your office and say hi.
Yes.
I would love that. I will look
give you
very
a
forward to
photo.
it. Thank you, Anne and Sheila, for having me on.
Thank you,
All
Mark.
right, thanks,
Good luck.
Margaret. Good
All
luck.
right, take care.
Bye. Yay.
Ooh, exciting day. Powerful Women Day. We should have had a theme for this day.
We should have.
We should have.
Maybe that matches your headband.
Oh, yes. I did this subconsciously, I guess. Or subliminally or subconsciously. I'm not really sure.
I think
Anyway,
we might be missing Eve. Eve?
What about Eve?
What about Eve?
Oh,
Is that a book?
Eve's. I thought you meant Eve. Yeah, I guess he had some technical difficulties. So we can get him on later, I guess. So anyway, thanks, everyone. We'll see you on Friday for a recap.
Yay.
Oh, road trip. We have a couple of road trips.
We do.
planned. We have one up to the Villages. which we have to decorate our golf cart.
Yep.
We might have another road trip up to DC,
Couple?
and
Tallahassee.
well, yeah. Okay.
We're going to go to Tallahassee. We are going to go to Tallahassee, Anna, and talk to our local state representatives on camera and find out what they're doing.
Hopefully it won't be one that went to Harvard.
Hopefully it'll be a lot of military men because, we like military men because we live by MacDill. How can
We
you not
do.
like military men?
All right.
And women.
And women.
To Ruth.
To Ruth. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Go vote.